Sirus and the tailor's daughter were hiding behind the oak tree. They could hear the Lord galloping by on his horse. He passed very close to where they were hiding, and he went to fight the bandits. They didn't know what to do. They could hear a huge fight break out as the Lord shouted to the bandits to come out of the cabin. They could hear the clash of swords and the shouting of men. So Sirus turned to the tailor's daughter and said we should hide in the woods. But the tailor's daughter was very frightened because she knew the woods were haunted and that strange creatures lived in the woods. Sirus calmed her down and said it's our only hope to escape. So into the woods they went. They ran and ran through trees and branches, snagging their hair and cutting their clothes open, breaking their skin. They ran and ran and ran until they couldn't run any more, and they were ever so thirsty. Presently they came upon a well in the woods and decided to draw up some water to drink. So as they turned the handle to pull up the bucket from the bottom of the well, a voice said, "Who's that drawing water from my well?" They looked around them but couldn't see anyone, so they stopped. They decided to carry on and turned the handle again. "Who's that drawing water from my well?" came the voice again, a small raspy voice. Looking around they couldn't see anyone, so they carried on turning the handle. "Who's that drawing water from my well?" said the voice a third time. And as the bucket came to the top of the well, sitting in the bucket was a little goblin. A tiny, wizened old goblin who looked quite scary. They explained that they were escaping from the bandits and from the Lord, and that they were very thirsty and they had run for such a long time. The goblin refused to let them have any water, so they tried to explain to him, "We really need some water, we're so thirsty." So the tailor's daughter asked the goblin to step behind a tree, and she whispered something into his ear. She told him who she was and what they were doing, but away from Sirus's ears. The goblin took pity on the tailor's daughter and allowed them to drink from the well. He asked them where they were going to go next, because if they went into the woods unprepared, they would get lost. So the goblin took pity on them and gave them a magic lantern, a lantern that would light the way only for them, only they would be able to see its light. And he also gave them a warning. He told them that they would encounter some things in the woods that might scare them, and that there were some things that they should just pass by. So taking the magic lantern, they gave their thanks to the goblin, waved him goodbye, and went deeper and deeper into the woods. Presently, they came upon the first thing the goblin warned them about. The first thing they came to was what looked like a load of straw bales blown to the ground. It was the ruins of a house made of straw. The goblin had warned them that murder had taken place here, so they went past it. A little bit further into the woods, in a clearing, they came to what looked like the ruins of another house, but this house had been made of sticks, and the goblin had warned them that murder had happened here, so they passed it by. Very soon they came upon a third house, a sturdier house which was made of bricks, and the goblin warned him not to knock on the door, for there lived a family of great pigs, murderous boars, who killed whoever knocked on their door, so they passed it by. Before very long, they carried on in the woods. They spoke to each other. They held hands as they ran and jogged and skipped, and they spoke to each other of their dreams and their feelings, their fantasies, what they wanted to do with the world, everything that made them them, and they fell deeper and deeper in love. Sirus couldn't help but look into her blue, blue eyes, the colour of a midnight sky, and her long auburn hair, her beautiful hair, and her soft, pale skin, and they both fell deeper and deeper in love with each other. Presently they came upon the next thing the goblin had warned them of, which was the ruins of a gingerbread house that had been burnt to the ground, as if something huge had been pushed into the oven and the whole house had burnt down. The goblin warned them not to eat any of the gingerbread, or they would have to stay there forever. The goblin told them that when they came to a particular clearing, they would find a tree stump, great tree that had been chopped clean through. And they should walk around that 3 times widdershins, which is anti-clockwise, and then 3 times sunwise, which is clockwise. This they did. The goblin also gave them a magic spell to say, some magic old words that would make someone appear to help them. So they said the magic words, and the magic words were